My name is Gareth Evans, and I'm the Director of Strategy and Business Development for EMEA for HASS. We specialise in digital alerting, so essentially anything and everything that's on the roadway that's a potential hazard for drivers, we provide digital alerting directly into the vehicle. So we do that in a few different ways. So we partner with Waze, we also partner with other mapping providers. But one of the key things that we do is partner with the actual car OEMs themselves. What this allows the drivers to do is to get really accurate and informed information of hazards on the roadway, and we use the term beyond real time. So I'll use the example of you're driving down the road and there is an ambulance behind you, and you can get an alert into your vehicle before you can hear or see those sirens. And that has a few really positive implications. From the emergency service perspective, it adds an extra safety element to them, knowing that the drivers are been informed. Imagine you're also maybe at the side of the road. There's been an accident, a fire truck, a towing operator might be at the side of the road. That alert is an added safety function to them, knowing that the driver has been alerted in the vehicle of, hey, up ahead or behind you, there's something approaching you, or there's something up ahead. For an emergency service perspective, it also adds a function of being able to respond to instances quicker. So knowing that the drivers in front of you have that awareness that there's a vehicle behind them, informing them to move over, allows that vehicle to get through traffic quicker and ultimately to an instant quicker. Sitting in all of this is our Safety Cloud solution, which is essentially an agnostic cloud platform whereby through partnering and connecting with emergency service vehicles and road hazards on the roadways, that information comes into our Safety Cloud, and that then allows us to access, or people to access that information to go into the likes of vehicles and into navigation systems. Perspective of where we operate. So we started in the United States and we're headquartered in Chicago. Over the last 7 years, we are now working with over 3,500 different agencies. So that's a combination of fire, police, towing operators, work zone operators, actual infrastructure itself. And then we're live in an array of different vehicles and different assets. We've recently launched over into Europe. But our application is absolutely global. Conversations that we're having with car manufacturers is at a global level, and there's not necessarily a geographical barrier in place. It's just as we go into that new territory, following any practices you would go into that new location. But one of the key things that we also do as well is try and bring those different parties together. So working at both the governmental level, but all the way down to that individual towing operator and everything in between to really bring that community together. And ultimately, the key thing that we want to do is to save lives on the road. Keep people safe on the road is the key reason why we exist. And that is a global challenge that we are doing our best to try and resolve. A definite recognition now of collaboration is absolutely key. When we come into the conversations, it's never about us, it's about that collective community. And as I mentioned, we need to have those conversations at that highest level, from a governmental level, from a policy and application level. But then as it starts to trickle down, making sure that this information can get into drivers, people being informed about the challenges on the roadway, and it's through all of those conversations, it's through those networks, it's through that. The ecosystem is a buzzword, but it is absolutely that. Not one person can solve the challenge on the roadway themselves, and this is where we like to say that we sit in the centre of that. If there's information that we can provide to drivers or back to government in some way to help safety on the roadway, that's exactly where we sit, and that's the nucleus of what we do. The product is Safety Cloud, and that's where we are making sure that we're being able to bring together those different parties, no matter what sector it might be or specialism they might have. If they're trying to resolve safety on the roadway, we try and sit in the centre of that to try and help and support. That's a really good example of that interoperability. So we are not developing, we're not building the hardware, we're not building the infrastructure on the side of the road, nor do we want to. That's not where we sit in this space. But there's so much data out there, and the data is not the problem. There's plenty of data. It's how it's being utilized and used, and most importantly, how do we actually get that information the right way to the drivers? So we talk about road infrastructure. We talk about these really important assets, but sometimes the actual driver is not discussed or talked about. So how do we bring all that relevant information, that important information, to the people that are using that network, which is the road users, be that in the vehicles, be that in the cyclists, whoever is on that road network. They're the key, sometimes the key missing piece to all of this is to make sure that they're informed and we can adopt some change, not necessarily in their habits, but potentially in their behaviour. And a lot of that just comes down to awareness of situations that are on the roadways. And where we can, we want to provide those alerts to give those drivers that time and that warning before they need to react. So we sit alongside other technology whereby absolutely you do need that instant reaction. If someone breaks in front of you, having that great technology that's now on vehicles to assist you in that driving is absolutely required and needed. But to get those advanced warnings of, hey, you making sure that you know that there's a work zone up ahead and there's people on the side of the road, or like what we do in the US is being able to provide information to drivers, hey, you're going towards a flooded area, a wildfire. Really important safety information that we actually give to the drivers and the road users. Very good. I think definitely there's from my perspective as just a road user, as a pedestrian, just as a human being, coming over to the Netherlands is fantastic. Seeing the infrastructure that they've got and also the culture around making sure that people can move around safely, and they don't need those vehicles to move around. They can walk, they can take other forms of transportation in a safe and really important and an effective manner, and also a cost-effective manner as well. Obviously, some countries they're much bigger, so there are those different types of challenges. But looking at the Dutch operate, and they, from a governmental level, how they really try and think about their population and how they can make life easier for them, and make sure that there is that equity in the population to make sure that they can travel safely, effectively, and cost effectively. They are very good, very, very good. Across Netherlands, you see the adoption of how they implement this in cities, which is much easier, condensed population to try and have that maneuverability. But when you actually get on their main arterial roads and their larger motorways, etc., again, from a user experience of driving on those roadways, you feel safe, it feels efficient, and obviously we know a lot more about the industry and the sector, but thinking just as a general road user how easy it is to maneuver around, and you don't need to I'd say in some countries trying to get off the right junction, sometimes not too sure what you might do at certain intersections. They definitely think about the driver here and the driver experience from their own population, but I think also from so when foreign people come in. I'm from the UK. I drive on the side of the road, but you come here, it feels very easy, very efficient as well. I think the actual attendees from a vendor perspective, I think there's an amazing mix. The opportunity to go into different areas of the transportation world, even if it's not specifically potentially that could help us, or there's no form of partnership, but really seeing what's out there across that the whole array of transportation, I think is also really important. So although it's nice, I think it's important as well. So you do really get to see the latest and greatest innovations. And what has been very good is the international presence here as well. It's to see all these different initiatives, the suppliers at a global level is really, really helpful. And I think the speaking sessions and some of the the summits and the conferences have been really good as well.